Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. I'm AJ, and today we'll be looking at a game that I had in my T54E1, which is the American Tier 9 medium tank. Now the T54E1 is one of my favorite tanks in the game. Even when I wasn't that great of a player, I seem to actually do very well in that tank. The tank is not necessarily overpowered per se, it has its weaknesses. One of the big weaknesses is it's slow, its pen on its standard ammunition isn't that great, and I generally tend not to fire a lot of APCR ammunition anyways. But if you are going to face like tier 9 tanks frontally, in almost any tier 9 medium tank, you'll probably have to fire APCR rounds unless they get tier 10 guns. That includes the T54 and the T54E1 and the M46 and the E50. So those tanks actually have to fire APCR if they're gonna face like a lot of heavy tanks frontally. Just to show you how bad the mobility is, like I made it to this spot almost the same time as a VK4502A. So we spot our first victim in the open, which is a Yak Panther 2. I put one shot into him, then sort of like fire a speculative shot that actually takes him out. Now the T54E1 is really good at like flanking enemies and putting the herd and running away as quickly as not running away as quickly as it can, but running away while reloading. So some of the things that you learn other autoloaders kind of like apply here as well. A little less so just because the reload is actually kind of fast. One of the other advantages of playing this tank is actually it fires in 2.2 seconds, which is really fast for an autoloader. And so what you're going to do is like you're just going to unload your shells relatively fast before they have a chance to do anything. Now I was looking for a trade with the heavy tanks that were up there, but I couldn't find a trade that I was willing to take. Just because with an autoloader you almost have to be resigned to the fact that you're going to take at least one shot in return, and you want to make your rest of your shots count. So in case of the T54E1, I'm willing to take one shot, but in that case, it would have been like 3 or 4 shots. Now I'm loading APCR rounds because these two tanks can't seem to figure out how to deal with an E75. Conquer should not have had such a terrible or such a tough time dealing with the E75, especially since it gets really good pen, and that close, like E75 is just butter for that tank. Now I should not have fired my last shot at the Yak Panther 2 because it was incredibly well angled. The E75 comes out, I put one shot into him, and as he's retreating, I repaired my tracks and actually track him as well, forcing him to use his repair kit in the process. So now we just wait again and reload and see what opportunity presents itself. And that's how you have to play a lot of these tanks that are really good at assassinating other tanks. You just have to wait for an opportunity. You can't just... I'm guilty of this too. I get really impatient when I'm playing certain tanks. So at this point, after the Conquer fired, I just said now is the time. I take out the E75. The flank from the other side pushes in, and I come over here and finish off the STI as well. Now at this point, I see there's a KB4 in the distance. I fired my first shot, and I have a misplay here in which I should have fired my second shot, but instead I just opt to reload for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why I started reloading, honestly. Like, I could have done that better. Now over here I come into the middle, which is somewhat crowded, and at this point, if what I think was going to happen was the T54 Mod 1 I thought was going to come through the middle, and I will have to face him and take him out. But what winds up happening is he sort of like stops in the middle, not knowing which way to go. I know I don't have good pen on my stand rounds, so I'm not particularly aiming these rounds carefully because T54 Mod 1 is relatively well armored for a 2-hit tank. But he presents his side, and I managed to finally pen him and take him out in the process. No, at first I sort of like tried to go back. I thought about it for a second to go back to the other sort of like elevated area where I could fire on the tanks, but then there were 2 tanks sitting there anyway, so I just kind of like moved here as well, not noticing that they had actually moved out as well. So at this point I should have actually gone there instead, because my team's on the right side of the map now, and it would have been better supported. The Scorpion, again, in the open, relatively easy shots, and I am so confident it's gonna pen. I actually fire and back off, but I don't know how I managed to not pen the Scorpion, because the Scorpion has literally no armor, so I don't know. But that was another thing that I kind of like just goofed me over there. Now at this point I see the T10, and essentially in this game that's the only tank in what can decide the outcome of this game is the T10, because he's the tier 9 heavy tank, which has enough pen to basically make the SDI regret his decision. So I'm willing to actually throw away my tank at this point just to cripple the T10. So I was more than willing to take a shot from him and the M46KR and the other tank behind him, but luckily enough the T10 for some reason didn't fire, and the only shot I had to take was from the M46KR. At this point the game is over anyways. I'm just gonna wait until the M46KR comes around. I'm gonna put in more shots, and that's gonna be that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I do have a question for all of you. Do you like what you see as the content is going? If you have any suggestions for improvement, please let me know. I'm more than willing to take them into consideration. If you think I could post, if you want more videos, I can try doing that as well. And I also finally made a donate button to this channel. It just helped me with groceries and maybe buying a better graphics card in the future. So if you like what you see, feel free to leave a tip, tell your friends, and subscribe, and leave a comment or like. If you need help with tanks in any way, shape, or form, do ask, and I will see you on the next episode of Playing World of Tanks.